Welcome, everyone. My guest today is Brena Nath, our Director of Events and HW Plus, to talk about the Gathering 2024 and how we're fighting back against the hostile takeover of housing industry events by boring speakers and rubber chicken luncheons. First, here's a word from our sponsor. This is Sarah Wheeler, Editor-in-Chief at HousingWire, with Ryan Marshall, CEO and founder of Equity Protect, to talk about a very specific and growing kind of fraud risk. Ryan, how does Equity Protect prevent deed fraud from occurring?
So we've successfully devised a range of methods that harmonize the elements that exist. So certain laws, certain constraints, and customary policies that occur within title companies and the recorder's offices. Our approach combines a multi-factor authentication, very similar to one that you would find if you're logging in and out of your bank account, an authenticated transaction hyperledger layer, and a newly crafted and copyrighted property notice form that we serve as a public security lien. So in essence, our service parallels similar to a credit lock that you would find with your credit bureau. Property owners retain absolute control, and they alone are the only authority that can unlock or lock their property to any subsequent transactions.
Thanks, Ryan. Listeners, you can find out more information at equityprotect.com. Brena, welcome back to the podcast.
I'm excited to be here and chat with you. It's always a pleasure.
You know what? You and I were the original OGs of podcasting here at HousingWire, so it's always a pleasure to jump back on. And we are talking about one of our favorite topics, and something that actually is as much fun as we have with it is actually a serious thing, and that is what we're doing with our events. We are combining two very successful events, which is the Gathering of Eagles, which has always traditionally been a real estate focused event that RealTrends did for decades, and our very successful HousingWire annual. And we're combining them into the Gathering, what we're calling the Gathering, in April 2024. So I wanted to talk to you about that because, we've talked to a lot of people and they're like, okay, tell me what this is. I don't know. So wanted to explain that and also really get people excited about it because there's a lot there.
We just published an article earlier today, and I think the subhead just sums it up so well. The subhead reads, "Hostile takeover of housing industry events by boring speakers and rubber chicken luncheons averted." Full stop there. What a great summary. And, we are being a little, witty, pushing the line there because that's something we feel strongly about. The phrase that Clayton and I have been using about this for a minute is just, it's not your father's housing event. We expect this to be something where whether you're in a room listening to content from people on stage or you're on a pickleball court getting dominated by other players, if you're me, great cheerleader though, at supporting people, it's like a place where you are going to not just rub elbows with amazing people, but actually feel like you have a connection to last well beyond that. And so the content's fast, it's dynamic, its speakers are actually engaging. We don't want boring. When we were kind of going through subheads, one kind of saying that popped up when I was kind of going through words was like, you just like a prop advert was one that came up. You just want people who have this knowledge in the space that's going to tell you like it is. They're going to sound smart, but also real and authentic.
You know what? I think that's really a hallmark of our events is that authenticity. And I know that that doesn't just happen. That comes because you pick speakers that you have a connection to, or you've heard them. And then we do these welcome calls. We really talk to them about like, here's what we're looking for. And we very proactively get that kind of authenticity. And people are so generous. We've had such generosity of people being open about what their experience is, even when it's difficult. And just being real with other people in the space. And I think that lends itself to a lot of value for our audience, but also I just have to say, because how many conferences have I been to since August? I don't even know at this point, Brena, like 12? I mean, between real estate and title and appraisal and mortgage and everything, it's an amazing amount. And I have enjoyed them. But one thing about our conference is the energy that is just present there. And it's something that we work really hard at. But I think part of it is just the energy of our team. And we're so excited about it. And then the people that we very specifically bring, there's no long list of, oh, these are all the usual suspects. We don't approach it that way.
Yeah. And I mean, let's go back, right? So you were mentioning how we just had the October conference. One thing I would emphasize that makes our like in this, the recipe of how we build our events is it's no shocker that this industry is changing. So if you go back to when we're planning the agenda for 2023 Housing Wire Annual, we had an extreme awareness that this market is changing fast. You just go back to, I joked when I was writing Logan Motashami, as you all know, our lead analyst's session description. We started off the year savagely unhealthy. He even then reversed back and said, now we're here. And then he changed again. Like if you watch that line of where the market is headed, it changes quite a bit. And so have a keen sense of awareness that when April comes around, we're building this agenda with the speakers who are going to not just survive, but thrive and still be in the room in April and beyond. And so what are those people doing? And how do we not just talk about right now, we can say, hey, these are the experts, and we're going to continue to fine craft what they're speaking on based on what's trending in April. Now, there are some things that we can easily say, universal topics, for example, AI, the commission lawsuits, technology, where the market is headed, mortgage rates, all of those things are going to be big topics come April. And we'll fine tune from there on where does that technology stand? What happened with the commission lawsuits? What are mortgage rates going to do for the second half of 2024? So we'll fine tune them, but these speakers really can be experts and speak to any market and are the people that you want to be surrounded with. That's something I personally find very important. The line that we use is we're re-injecting life into the savagely unhealthy market. Mindset's a huge part of what our speakers talk about. And I know that can sound very rah, but for anyone who has sat down and talked to any real estate leader in this space, I can tell you without a doubt, a theme with all these people is the importance of where you park your energy and your mind. And a lot of these leaders in this space are saying they have a winning mindset. This is what they're doing, that there is business left to be had. And those are the people we have speaking. They're the people that you want to be around because they're also going to re-inject life into your, battle plan, playbook for the words that we say in 2024. And that's important.
That's really important. And I think that if we take a step back and say that's the reason that we're merging, right? The reason that we're merging these two events is because we see better synergy when we're together. So what we feel like is that this is the place to get it all, right? This is the place to understand it all. And part of that is just the intersection of all the different parts of the housing ecosystem. So Gathering of Eagles, I mean, people love that conference. It's been around for decades, and we're really aware that we want those same people to come and love this. And the things that they love about Gathering of Eagles, all this, it's going to still be here. But in addition, we're also going to have, some crossover days where it's like you can talk to your partners who are doing other things. You're going to get exposed to some other things that are happening. We see this in different parts of the news cycle right now. So we're covering the Sitzer-Burnett trial, which is also known the commission lawsuits trial, right? And when we talked about it at HousingWire Annual, it was amazing because a lot of people in the mortgage space, we found out, do not know that much about it. But this could change the way that the real estate transaction happens from the standpoint of who pays the buyer's real estate agent to how the MLS is work, right? How all those multiple listing services are going to work going forward. And those changes are going to affect people in mortgage just like real estate. And it's that kind of thing where it's like there are so many things now that the housing ecosystem, in my opinion, is more integrated than it ever has been. And bringing all those voices together in one place, bringing those professionals, those leaders, and the people who can speak to those different things, that the people at regulatory bodies, leaders of different organizations, is super valuable.
To your point there, I work in this space to write about it. And that was my first question when I bought a home. It was, wait, I was sitting down with my agent and had that very typical question. Wait, am I paying you? How is this going down? And so to your point, there's a lot of, and I mean, I know it's on the site for anyone who's listening to go read into what is the impact here. And come April, there'll be more to share. And so that's one big topic that we have in the agenda. Now might be a good time, Sarah, to kind of unpack what we have we have these two amazing events. We're merging them together. HousingWire, I know, has been this amazing all things housing. The theme last year was the starting line. Meanwhile, the Gathering of Eagles has this rich history. I was chatting with Steve Murray earlier today as we kind of working on his quote for this article as well, on what he built and wanting to honor the legacy and the amazing group of leaders who come there. And so we have been very intentional on how we've crafted this agenda and are still open to our audience. I know, Sarah, that's a question we get a lot when people are saying, hey, can I speak? How do I speak to you guys? So I'll answer that along with what does this agenda look like? And so as Sarah mentioned at the top of this podcast, we're going to be at the Marriott Camelback Inn in Scottsdale, Arizona. Beautiful place, very close to downtown Scottsdale. Amazing place where if you are at an event, you can also see there's like bars and great breweries and touristy things not too far down for anyone who's been to Scottsdale, since we're closer downtown this year. And it's April 21st through 24th. So that turns into 4 days, the 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 24th. Well, looking at these days, we wanted to create this crossover environment that, like what I earlier said, honors, this mortgage audience that we have, the real estate audience that we have, and then has rich content in the middle for both of them. So we really kick off on day one, looking back to this first day of who are our Gathering of Eagles attendees, how to create a VIP experience for them, their own cocktail and networking parties and a dinner. So that's something that you're going to see throughout the agenda to look for is, we know content is important. In the past, we've had half-day sessions at Gathering of Eagles, and we have had longer sessions at HousingWire Annual. We have more of this hybrid where we want to make sure that you get time at lunch, at wine tastings, at pickleball, at our cornhole tournament, at our charity hike. If anyone wants to join us in hiking Camelback Mountain, I know that's a more extreme, intensive hike. But we have options like that in yoga in order to I find it's valuable to put on a different hat when you're not just listening to content. You can talk to someone in a different role. It helps create more of a relationship there. But that said, you'll find that in the agenda, a lot more of these, while we'll continue and maintain where we found special this one track agenda in the main room. We're going to have different types of VIP breakfasts, breakout sessions, happy hours, and stuff like that that are exclusive to different people in order to allow you to have the right people in the room that we know you still want to meet and network with, but it's still this crossover moment. So day one, really real estate. Then you have these rich crossover days that go over AI, the commission lawsuits, housing market, the top CEOs in both spaces, our Vanguard Forum that has been a hit the past 2 years, and our marketing leaders section as well with, last year, if you can remember, we had Alec Hansen, CMO at Loan Depot on that lineup. And then also in our Vanguard Forum, you had Rich Rydell over at Princeton Mortgage. You had Celine Kellum, who is the CEO at Thrive. These great leaders that came that basically told you really raw and real what you could expect. And they pushed you in the hard areas that you needed to hear. That's going to be coming back. So that's what I mean when people are open. It's like, hey, this is what you got to do. I want you to be in this room with me in April. And I don't know if all of us are going to make it, but this is how I have built my plan in order to be here in April. And so we're bringing those types of conversations back in the lineup.
This is Sarah Wheeler, Editor-in-Chief at HousingWire, with Melinda Wilner, Chief Operating Officer at UWM. Melinda, what resources does UWM have available for people who are looking to join the wholesale channel?
We have a lot of great resources that are available. In fact, we have a large size team solely dedicated to getting mortgage brokers into the industry. So whether it's starting your own brokerage, joining an existing brokerage, converting from a retail loan officer over to a wholesale loan officer, we have a whole host of things available. We have teams that are dedicated to support even afterwards that will help with things like compliance and licensing, all that fun stuff, as well as marketing strategies and helping brokers with training. So we are really, really well versed on getting people into the wholesale channel, and a great place to start. And we have a great website, beamortgagebroker.com, with a lot of information on how to get started.
So many options. Thanks, Melinda. And listeners, find out more, as she said, at beamortgagebroker.com. Well, let me speak to the rubber chicken part for a minute, okay? Because to me, it's not just about the food. It's really about the whole way that conferences have evolved to be a certain thing. And you go, okay. And one of the things that, because I go to so many, is like, okay, at night, here's your options. You can do this, or you could do that. And it always feels like, it's like you might know a whole lot of people there, or you might not. But the kind of activities that you have are kind of not always that much fun. And okay, I've got to go and I've got to go meet all these people. And one of the things I think that we've cracked the code on is how to do events, how to have these social events so that people naturally get to talk to a bunch of people. And I think that one of the things that we've noticed is like, let's have them do activities like pickleball. Amazing opportunity to quote unquote network. And what it really is like, it's a connection point. You're not just let me give you my card, you give me your card, let's talk about business. But it's like, okay, I saw you in shorts and you saw me miss the ball and it was embarrassing and we laughed, and while we were sitting there waiting to go on the court, we got into some like, interesting things about each other, and like we came away feeling like I know you in a different way. And then when something comes up, it's like, hey, I can email you. We exchanged contact information in a more meaningful way, and in a lighter lift for the people who are being there. It's one of the things we really try to do is like, hey, you can come and you're not gonna feel weird if you're a woman. So as a woman who goes to a lot of conferences, it's intimidating. And I am not intimidated easily by groups of people. As you know, Brenna, neither are you. We love people. We will go into the sea of people and just start shaking hands and introduce ourselves. Many people are not like that. And even when I'm at a pretty male heavy event, especially, it might be a nighttime or something, it's like, I don't want to do that. It just sounds like not that much fun. And we've really taken that part, that challenge out of it for people. It's like, show up. All of our team is there. We're going to talk to you. We're going to introduce you to people. We're going to, have activities that you're going to actually have fun. And I think that I can say that confidently because, I mean, you can look through the pictures of both of our events and see and be like, does this look like your typical conference? No, it does not.
You remind me of story that I'm like, pause here. This is the great clip for social media. This was definitely supposed to be my LinkedIn post, and I forgot about this moment until you just shared it. But I feel like was a breaking news moment that you would appreciate at HousingWire Annual. I needed to stop to go to the restroom. And for my first time at any mortgage conference ever, I had to stand in a line to use the restroom. And when I tell you, I have never had to stand in a line at a mortgage conference to use the restroom because it's so male heavy. Never. And I took that moment, and I, of course, knowing me, said to the bathroom to the other women in line, I'm like, y'all, we're waiting in line. This is amazing. That means that we brought enough women to this event across parties of this leadership executive focus. Like, let's honor how amazing that is. They have women in the C-suite across the board and men there, that there was a line for the bathroom. And that seems like a pivotal moment in my career.
No, it's stuff like that that really makes a difference. And I'm telling you, like that whole rubber chicken mentality, everybody who's ever been to a conference knows exactly what we mean by that. It's like, it's the food that you're like, oh, okay, yet again, it's nothing special. But also it's just the feeling that you get while you're there. And so we are out to bust that. We feel like we have cracked the code on how to do that. And now we're bringing together this entirely different group of people that we have had real estate and mortgage together. I think this is a whole new level, and I'm really excited about it. Who are some of the speakers, or what are some of the topics that you're already looking at?
Yeah, we already have a few people locked in. We're actively looking right now. I know I actually don't feel like I finished one of my last points, which was the top question that you and I get often, which is, how do I speak at your conference? Some of our non-negotiables, I would say right now, that I would love to list those out, is we want you to be dynamic. We want you to share, if you don't want to sit in and listen to it, maybe other people wouldn't as well. And so we understand that there's some content that needs to be that it always is the most exciting, but I think you can inject excitement and energy into something if you are passionate about that. And Sarah and I have seen that count endlessly in a lot of speakers who have made servicing exciting, who made compliance exciting. I've watched some amazing speakers completely shift the narrative on something that you might have thought would be a more, legalese type conversation that turned exciting. So we know there's amazing people in the space that we want to spotlight. The wording I always use is I want to spotlight impactful voices, not just the loudest voices. And that's what I'm looking for. So if you reach out to Sarah or what I ask for is a few bullet points on what you think fits that description. And then knowing our audience, we have this real estate executive, mortgage executive, title and appraisal leaders who are looking. And we know, as Sarah mentioned earlier, they're working together more than ever before. In examples there that we can give you are the impact of the commission lawsuits. It's how is everyone using AI right now? How are you looking at joint ventures right now? How are you in our Vanguard forum dealing with something we're very aware of? We plan 2024. I was joking when I went on maternity leave at the beginning of this year. I was hoping when I came back, the world was just going to be better. That's not the case. We're still very much aware that 2024 is still going to be a more difficult, in the words of Logan Moshami, a savagely unhealthy market. So what are you doing to address that? I think a lot of the conversations that we had and the themes and the topic in 2023 are going to carry over. So it's your playbook, it's your battlefield strategy, it's how you're partnering with other people, where you're using technology to streamline efficiencies. And buffering for the changes that are going to come down, since regulation is always just another theme that's in there. Along with DE&I, that's another part of the conversation that we're very excited about. There was a few talks at HousingWire Annual that talked about who's your next first-time home buyer. And even outside of the first-time buyer, DE&I and this affordable housing conversation is an important one to have. And that is a lot of times where your pipeline, how you're going to grow your bottom line. Here's how those players are doing that and capturing that market share. So that's kind of a theme that I would say, to your point, Sarah, of topics that are coming through. One of those people that we have speaking is AJ Barkley over at Bank of America. We have Lee Smith at Flagstar, along with a handful of other like real estate experts as well. So I'll just kind of tease those two for right now, but actively locking in more speakers as we talk. So feel free to send Sarah or I those bullet points as we craft. And just so everyone knows, we want to make sure that we're building an agenda that is engaging, filled with people you want to be in the room with. And so as a result, there's not a ton of slots. So we are actively working on getting this agenda locked in the next month, 2 months, and then it'll be closed. So keep that in mind.
I think the other thing is, it's not just the content or like, oh, this is the battlefield mentality, which is so important, but also like, here's the energy and inspiration you need to keep going. Here's the momentum that we want you to come out of. And we really saw that with these last two conferences. Of course, HousingWire Annual was just a few weeks ago. And I still am feeling that momentum from different people I'm talking to. I just got off the phone call with someone who I met at HousingWire Annual. And, from there, they're going to be on a podcast. It's going to be really great. But like, the momentum that we built there continues. And it's our job to do that for you, for the people who want to come. And we take it really seriously. Like, none of this happens in a vacuum. And we are going to do the best, because our goal is like, everyone succeeds. We all make it. Everybody gets to that place in 24. And so, we're here. You said earlier, oh, that sounds rah rah. You and I are the cheerleaders of this industry in many ways, because we believe in it. We believe in the mission of home ownership. We believe it's a good, and we believe that the more people are in this industry, the better.
And I would just tack on to what you were saying earlier. I know I can be biased in this statement, but I hope everyone can see the right intention that I have in saying this, which is I also think what makes HousingWire, when it comes to the parties and like the intimidation that comes with networking or different events, is we bring a lot of our HousingWire team to these events, and we are high energy as a team. I am biased when I say the bias statement is like, I think we try to create an environment because we are have this high energy between our staff, that you can come into that and you are more, we like making introductions. We like knowing our attendees. Sarah and Logan, if you saw on social media, we made cutouts of Sarah, Logan, Clayton, and Mike Simonson. And I loved these. And I joked, because we're creating these VIP passes for the Gathering 2024. And we're not going to do this, but if enough people email me, maybe we will. But I joked that anyone who's a VIP will just make cutouts of everybody to have in the audience. But I think it's that same type of intention, that when you go to these places, our staff is out, and we try to be in the industry with everybody, not just report on it, but try to, we talk to you as we build this agenda. We're listening to the concerns and the topics that need to be there. And then we're also really passionate about this content, this conferences ourselves. We're not just hosting it. We feel like we're in it and putting this conference also for our own knowledge, so we continue to paint the full picture in everything that we do.
So one of the issues that we talked about at HousingWire Annual, I interviewed Sandra Thompson, who's the FHFA director, and we talked about repurchase and how many more repurchase loans lenders are seeing, and why that was, how she was going to address it, what's the timeline there, does she feel that urgency that is there as we're in this very difficult moment. She had some great answers, and it actually prompted conversations after that in the room with her and with other people from FHFA about what could be done. And we're following up on that from news angles and just from like, hey, here's another thing. I just had a phone call today about this very issue. And so I feel like it's not only like, I mean, news is made and also it's impactful longer than just the conference. Like, we're trying to do something really different here. And I think that we succeeded.
I completely agree. And I would want to make sure, just so people know, we're starting to build out the website. It has the information, the VIP ticket that I mentioned, more of the speakers, past speakers. A top question that I get is like, what is this new conference? How are you merging it together? If you go to HousingWireTheGathering.com, that's our event website, but also you can search the latest article that basically just explains that we view this combined merge conference as one having expanded offerings, enhanced networking, connecting commerce. So what I would just sum up to make sure, I hope I'm as clear as possible, is we've had a long history of having the Gathering of Eagles event every year in about the summer. It shifted some, and we have a history of having HousingWire Annual, which we were in, I think, our third year this past year. We're merging those into one. So if you're if you're sitting here listening, if you liked Gathering of Eagles or if you liked HousingWire Annual, this is still the conference from you. The energy, the content, the speakers, the network opportunities at both events is living still in the Gathering, just the 2.0 version. It's expanded, it's enhanced, it's bigger. And we're excited about that. So just want to make sure people know, if they're wondering, okay, so if, do I still go to this one? What's this new one? It's if you weren't to those before, this is definitely the event still for you. And if you didn't and you heard good things, this is the event for you.
Thank you so much for that clarification. That is awesome. And we're almost out of time. So Brena, I'm going to let you go, but thank you for coming on and kind of explain what we're doing. Anyone can reach out to you, Brena at hwmedia.com, Sarah at hwmedia.com. We're open. We love talking to people in the industry. And if you are interested in speaking, or if you're like, we have to talk about X, or are you going to do this or anything else, we also love feedback. So Brena, thanks so much for putting together an amazing event so recently, and the next one coming up.
Loved being here. Thanks, Sarah.